Welcome to EchoTeller TV, where forgotten tales rise again, and echoes from the past teach us about today. Have you ever heard of a kingdom that stood tall with nothing but spears? What happens when pride clashes with tradition? When a mighty empire underestimates a proud warrior nation? This is not just a story about war. It's a tale of bravery, mistakes, betrayal, and a battle that shocked the world. Today, we dive into one of history's most unexpected and disastrous wars. The Anglo-Zulu War of 1879. Grab your popcorn, because this is going to be intense. Let's go back to southern Africa in the late 1800s. At this time, the British Empire was at its peak. They had colonies across the world: India, Australia, Canada, you name it. But they weren't done expanding. They had their eyes on Zululand, a region in what is now South Africa. The Zulu Kingdom, ruled by King Sethweo, was strong, proud, and united. The Zulu warriors were disciplined and fearless, with a unique fighting style. Imagine a tightly knit football team, no flashy stars, just teamwork and passion. That was the Zulu army. But the British? They thought of the Zulus as backward. They believed they could easily take over and civilize them. Spoiler alert, they were wrong. By the end of 1878, things were tense in southern Africa. The British Empire had a plan, a grand plan. They wanted to unite the whole region under their control. Cape Colony, Natal, the Boer Republics, and Zululand. But there was one big problem. The Zulus were strong, united, and proud. Their army, a mighty force trained in discipline and courage, stood in the way. Enter Sir Bartle Frere, the British High Commissioner. A man with ambition. He believed that the only way to bring peace, British style, was to crush the Zulus before they became a bigger threat. But here's the twist. He didn't have permission from London to start a war. So, he found a way around that. He created an excuse. In December 1878, Frere sent a bold ultimatum to King Sethweo, the Zulu ruler. It was a list of demands, harsh, insulting, and impossible. Things like: disband your entire army. Abandon your traditional laws. Let British missionaries and officials enter your land freely. And basically, let go of your independence. Now imagine this. A stranger knocks on your door and says, "Get rid of your phone, cancel your Wi-Fi, burn your passport, and give me the keys to your house." Would you say yes? Of course not. Neither did King Sethweo. To the British, these demands were a test of obedience. To the Zulus, they were an attack on their way of life. Sethweo didn't respond with war. He sent peaceful replies, hoping to avoid conflict. But Frere wasn't looking for peace. He wanted a reason, any reason, to invade. When Sethweo didn't meet the 30-day deadline, Frere told the British army, "Go." And just like that, in January 1879, the British crossed the Buffalo River and marched into Zululand. The war had begun. But they had no idea what they were walking into. In January 1879, British forces invaded Zululand. They came in with confidence, red coats shining in the sun, their rifles and cannons ready. On paper, they had every advantage: guns, numbers, and experience. But they made one huge mistake. They didn't respect their enemy. They split their army into columns, a dangerous move in unfamiliar territory. One column, led by Lord Chelmsford, set up camp at a place called Isandlwana. They didn't build proper defenses. They thought the Zulus wouldn't dare attack. But boy, were they wrong. On January 22, 1879, over 20,000 Zulu warriors stormed the British camp. Armed mostly with spears and shields, they moved like a wave, fast and coordinated. The British fired their guns, but they couldn't reload fast enough. Their ammunition was in locked boxes. Yes, locked, during a battle. Within hours, over 1,300 British soldiers were killed. It was one of the worst defeats in British colonial history. This would be like a Premier League team losing to a small village club 10-0. The world was stunned. The mighty British Empire had been humbled. As the smoke still rose from the disastrous battlefield at Isandlwana, just a few miles away, in a quiet corner of Zululand, a new drama was unfolding. The place was called Rorke's Drift. It was a simple mission station, a few buildings, a storehouse, and a small hospital. Inside? Roughly 150 British and colonial soldiers, some of them sick or wounded. They weren't expecting a fight. But they got one. Because 4,000 Zulu warriors were headed straight for them. Let's pause for a second. Imagine being in a tiny house, with no way to escape. And someone tells you that a whole stadium full of warriors is running at you with spears, chanting war songs, and ready to take you down. That's what it felt like at Rorke's Drift. The British soldiers didn't have time to run. They didn't have enough men. But they had bricks, bags of mealie, corn, and biscuit boxes, so they built makeshift barricades around the mission. Then, they waited. For 12 long hours, the Zulu warriors attacked in waves. Again and again and again. Spears flew through the air. Guns fired in shifts, while others reloaded. The hospital caught fire. Wounded men had to crawl under bullets to escape. The Zulus even broke through at times, but were pushed back each time. When morning came, the ground was soaked in blood. The British had lost 17 men. The Zulus, over 350, and somehow, against all odds. The British held the mission. The Battle of Rorke's Drift quickly became a heroic tale back in Britain. It was a welcome distraction from the humiliation at Isandlwana. 11 soldiers were awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest British military honour. But while Britain celebrated, the Zulus mourned. And King Cethwayo's warriors, brave, disciplined, and fearless, were still far from beaten. This battle may have been a British victory, but it didn't end the war. In fact, it only made the British more determined to finish what they started. And that meant even more blood was yet to be spilled. After the embarrassment, Britain sent more troops, lots more. They returned with heavier guns, more discipline, and a new plan. This time, they pushed deep into Zululand, winning several battles. The Zulu forces were brave, but they couldn't match the British firepower forever. In July 1879, the British captured King Cethwayo. The Zulu Kingdom fell. The war was over, but at a heavy cost. The Anglo-Zulu War ended in British victory, but it was a disaster in many ways. The Zulu Kingdom was divided and weakened. The British had lost prestige and respect at home and abroad. And thousands of lives, both African and British, were lost. But the legacy lived on. The Zulu warriors became legends. Their courage taught the world never to underestimate a people fighting for their land. So what can we learn from this war? First, never underestimate your opponent. Second, pride can be dangerous when it clouds your judgment. And third, sometimes, the strongest warriors don't wear uniforms or carry guns. They fight with heart, unity, and purpose. Thanks for watching. Ecotella TV. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves history. Until next time, stay curious and stay bold.